Yeah. At
do
least
this
get the
all
division, I
The
feel like.
silhouette looks like a erupting
Could that be
volcano.
Paolo Banchero?
Dude, do you see
what?
how long the hair is, Chris?
Dude, just
Dude, his
throw
hair's-
it in there to get the division.
Paulo.
All right.
Paulo. All right, we'll try
All right,
Paulo.
guess number 3 is Paolo Banchero. He's not in the Southeast, so he's in the Atlantic Division, which
Yep.
means
So he's number
Who's in the
5.
Atlantic
he's
Division?
either on the
Number five.
Raptors, the Celtics, the Knicks. Could that be Precious Achua?
Whoa!
Bittner. Might be on the money. Let's try it.
Chris just snagged that?
I might have.
Chris did just snag it.
Wow. Clap it up
Precious
for Pitt.
Achua from the New York
Chris
Knicks
Bittner.
in
Clap
4
it up
guesses.
for Pitt.
Unreal.
Precious.
Not gonna lie.
That was quite
That's
precious.
a pull.
Ball knowledge.
That's a pull. That's a
I,
insane
pun
pull.
intended.
I want to give a
Chris,
quick
I can
shout
tell
out
that.
to my roommate for keeping me on top of just every single NBA player in the league. He can name, I think it's like out of the 300, he could probably name about 295 of them.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Rookie numbers, buddy.
All right, so next week's
We're gonna need to
Warhawk
bump
Thought is
those
going to be
up.
the full 300 NBA roster player quiz then, so we can see how we do.
LeBron James.
Yeah, times 300.
Yeah.
Would
Bronny-
Bronny...
Bronny
James,
James.
Jr. is the 300
The
spot.
Bryce
million-dollar
James.
question is Bronny in the total as of right now?
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah. Let's.
How can you find out?
find out.
Oh, yeah, you just
Unfortunately,
type it
we
in.
all won already, I think, so I don't know if we can guess for the rest of
Someone
it.
go on their phone, they can do it on their phone.
That is true.
I didn't do it. I'll do it
Nah,
right
Oh,
that-
now.
Mikey will pull it up.
Nose goes.
Let's get a live fact check here on air.
Mikey.
He hasn't
Spell it.
played
Yeah, I'm
actual
struggling to
NBA
spell
time yet,
pull.
but he is on a roster.
He is, and he's played in the preseason.
Yeah.
And
You
you
that
had
would-
to
that would
chase
count
down
for
Bronny
LeBron.
James is not in the system.
Yeah,
They must not have updated
That
it
wouldn't
yet,
count for
unfortunately.
immaculate
I'll do
grids.
James to see if that works.
For immaculate grids,
No,
you have to like
nothing.
actually play in a game.
Just LeBron, probably.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's just
Can we do
LeBron.
it? Can we do an immaculate grids?
Immaculate grids could be next week.
Yeah, let's
Oh.
scrap the whole show.
Yeah,
Let's
that'd
just
be
play
amazing.
fun
Yeah.
games.
Let's play fun NBA games the whole
Everybody
time.
want to play?
Just wait till we get to the elimination game this semester. That'll be a lot of fun.
Just a whole 2K setup all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Let's
A
just do
2K, a Hawk Talk,
2K game.
A 3v3 2K
And-
game.
and we
the
have
wheel, see
the
who
we
the
have the
two
host
players
just
are?
announced the entire time.
What
Like
if we did that?
Let's do that for the last
what
show.
if?
Last show of
We
the
all have
semester.
monitors, I assume.
2K game.
We all have at least one 2K, I hope. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
He's got
However,
some
I
money.
don't have the next gen console
Me neither.
because
Oh.
I'm not rich enough for that, unfortunately.
Same, Chris. Let's talk about our financial situation.
With that, we're gonna move into our first topic of the day. Because that does not need to be discussed,
little
especially
personal.
after going to the Brewers game last week.
How was that?
Well,
go Mets.
I went to the game that they won,
I was
so it
about
was
to say,
actually
that game
quite a
2
bit
or
of
3
fun.
that you went to?
I went to game 2, which was I lost my voice. It was a lot of fun. But moving into our first topic of the day, which is Warhawk Sports Roundup. I wanted to start. We're just going to highlight a bunch of different Warhawk sports here today. I thought that would be a good idea. Give some of the sports that don't necessarily get some love a bit of love. First off, we're going to start with volleyball, who has a huge matchup coming up against number 12, I believe it is, North Park. And they're 15-2 on the year. They did suffer a loss. I believe it was last weekend to Hope College. They won on Friday night in their Dig Panici huge matchup against UW Eau Claire, 3-0, 25-17, 25-22, and 25-11. They dominated that third set. Really quickly, Ryan, just give me maybe perhaps a rundown of this matchup against North Park.
Yeah, I mean, North Park, they're going to be difficult again. I mean, both of Whitewater's losses have been to, Oshkosh was number 6 ranked and Hope College number 4 ranked. And it's not going to be an easy night for the Warhawks. They're going to be having to be challenged all night long. But they're going to have to roll out with their star players and Elena Jansky and Jenna Weinfurt, who lead the team in kills. Jansky with 235, Weinfurt with 195, and Whitewater actually leads all of Division III NCAA women's volleyball in blocks per set with 2.79. And Hannah Proctor has been a tower up there, leading the team with blocks 1.38 per set, 4th in the nation with that one. So they'll have to rely on their big stars for that one.
Quite the defensive anchor is Hannah Proctor. I believe she had 5 blocks in their previous matchup against UW Eau Claire. Looking at some of the other stats from that, Elena Jansky with a .348 hitting percentage. Hannah Proctor herself having 4 total attacks, 1 kill, 4.5 points in that match. Jenna Weinfurt with 7 kills. And yeah, I mean, they also have Aubrey Cruz, who's huge in the setting up of attacks. Her assist numbers are just through the roof, 26 in that match, and we just see that pretty much every match from her. Mikey, any other thoughts?
Well, he kind of threw down all the advanced knowledge
Everything.
that I was
Yeah,
thinking of,
everything.
but-
The ball knowledge.
Yeah, he got all the ball knowledge down. But North Park at 15, number 15 in the country. One thing to point out at that Hope College loss, though, is that a lot of those sets, or actually all the sets, were rather close. A lot of them were just 5 points apart. The first one was just 2, and the one set that they did end up putting up on Hope College, they won 25-19. But, of course, they have a lot of ranked victories, including Laverne against Gustavus, Transylvania as well. They lost to Oshkosh, apologies, but they also went up and beat Milliken, Cornell College, Berry College. They have quite a few ranked wins, so I think this should be an intriguing matchup. I think Whitewater should take it. Their last loss against Hope, Hope was the number 4 team in the country, so number 4 team in D3.
Well, something else to note is last year Whitewater did play against North Park and they lost in 5 sets, 3-2. Hope College or Whitewater taking the first 2 sets but losing the last 3. But there's a lot of different talent on this Whitewater team. Most of the top players from that team are not with the team anymore. Elena Jansky knew this year as well. Alex, any other thoughts?
I was gonna touch up on the whole history aspect. We've only played. This is only our 4th time playing them ever. The other times are 2011, 2004, and completely different rosters. So, but last year we did play them in 2023, and we lost. But yeah, like you were saying, it was a really close game. We did win the first 2 sets by a landslide. Third one just barely lost, and then they somehow just had momentum going to the last 2 and ended up pulling that one out, unfortunately. But yeah. I am glad that you did bring up Aubrey Cruz because she actually did have a really good game. 4 kills, an ace, and 7 blocks. And the 7 blocks is actually a season high for her, and she had a really good game against Eau Claire on Friday I think.
Yeah, you would be correct. Aubrey Cruz, quite the force in the middle. Colin?
Yeah, these great sports analysts over here have pretty much covered the tail thing here. But yeah, going back to just how good this volleyball team is, man. 15-2, 6-2 versus ranked teams. Their only 2 losses have been against the top 10 teams with number 6 Oshkosh and number 4 Hope. So they've shown to struggle, be really good against good opponents, but struggled versus the cream of the crop top tier opponents. And then outside of the top 10, they are undefeated with Berry College, Cornell, Northwestern, Milliken, and they even beat top 10 in Laverne. So like we said, Elena Jansky, she's got over 5 points per series going on right now. Same with Jenna Wideford at about 4.5 points a series. They've just been anchoring this team. Just their great play is going to keep on rolling. And 15 North Park, like I said, we're undefeated versus ranked teams outside of the top 10. So I think this should be a pretty easy matchup for the Warhawks.
Alex?
I feel a sneeze.
Or Laz, excuse me.
Give me a second.
Yeah, I was like, Alex.
Yeah, so I actually went a different approach with this. I went to the North Park website, talk about them a little bit. Because, yeah, we do, like everyone else said, great team, haven't lost outside of the top 10. North Park has lost both of their ranked games against number 19 Calvin and number 4 Hope. They're currently on a 5-game losing streak going into that game against the Warhawks, so it's like, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about it. We have our 1-2 punch. It doesn't really look like anyone's running away with it over there at North Park. So, it'll definitely be a good game.
I mean, and Whitewater's defense is just incredible. It's just so hard to get points off them. It's more that Whitewater makes mistakes than other teams actually beating them. But moving over to some other sports really quick, I wanted to touch on the cross-country team just because they had a huge meet the previous weekend. At pre-nationals in Indiana, they came into the meet ranked 3rd in the country. They took 2nd out of 46 teams and took 3 of the top 4 overall spots in that race, with Gunnar Schlender taking the win, Christian Patska taking 2nd, only 7 seconds behind. This is a 5-mile race in only 24 minutes, which is pretty darn fast if you ask me. And then Dan Anderson also took 4th in that race. The women's team also did very well in that race. I don't have results pulled up immediately, but moving over to the soccer teams, the men's team is 5-3 right now. UWW-TV covered their game a week ago against Loras College in the Hawk Cup against the Dew Hawks. They tied 1-1 in that match. They did take a loss to River Falls. Moving forward, Whitewater's so far in the WEAC conference, 0-1. Do you guys think they could turn it around, Laz?
Yeah, like you said, 5-3 overall. They're currently on a one-game losing streak. I mean, they've only played one ranked opponent so far, so it's a slow start to the season. I mean, 500 isn't a bad place to be by any means. Trust me, as a Lakers fan, I know all about being.
We
right
will
at
get to the
500.
Lakers again. Later, I'm sure,
I
on
know
the show.
all about, yeah. Oh, we will. I know all about being 500. I don't think it's too late to turn the season around, but I think if they are going to turn the season around, they're going to need to start winning against teams that aren't ranked. I mean,
They got some matchups coming up that looks like they might be able to have a chance, and
Eau
they
Claire,
play
Wake
in.
Forest, Stevens
They
Point.
play tomorrow night in Decatur, Illinois against Milliken, and then this Saturday here in Whitewater at Fiscum Field against UW Eau Claire in a conference matchup. Does anyone else have any thoughts on the men's soccer team?
I think they're going to run the table. They had 6 games left, 6-0. We're going to finish the season 11-5-3 and win the whole thing.
I don't know. Milliken's pretty solid, though.
We have never
Yeah,
lost. to
Milliken is pretty solid.
Something to note, we have never lost to Milliken. That could be in jeopardy this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 out of the next 6 games are WIAC conference matchups, so those are going to be huge in determining if we get into the playoffs at all. And 3 out of those 4 are on the road too. So.
Something to note there, definitely. Road is much tougher to win, especially with the atmospheres that soccer games can create. But moving over to the women's team, they're 4-5-4 right now. They also, I believe, have 6 matchups coming up, a bunch of conference matchups right in a row. They do travel to Oshkosh tomorrow night to play against the Titans. Looking at some of the history there, Whitewater winning 4 out of the 5 matchups, including the last one. That was their score in that matchup. They've won 18, lost 17, and tied 4 against Oshkosh, pretty evenly balanced. But they did win the last one 4-1. Could we expect more of the same? Possibly, but the team's not off to the hottest start this year. However, they have drawn or tied in their last 2 matchups against UW Eau Claire and Benedictine. Moving over to some tennis really quickly, more so on the women's side we're going to focus on. Ryan, you told me about Cassie Ha potentially going down with an injury. Tell me a little bit about that.
Cassie Lee, actually, Chris.
My mistake.
It's all good. Yes, she did go down with an injury. It is not looking too good, so we're going to have to see. Gracie Ha is who you're thinking of.
I got them mixed up. My
She-
mistake.
She as
Maybe
a
you should be
junior,
hosting.
Or as a senior.
I'll vacate my chair.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. She's going to have to step up along with freshman Abby Weaver and Ava Andre. They did just switch up their doubles. So usually the freshmen Andre and Weaver were doubles partners, and then Ha and Lee were also doubles partners as the 1 and 2s. And they switched it up this past weekend, and that's when Cassie Lee got hurt, unfortunately. So it's up in the air right now for Coach Frank Barnes, and he's going to have to figure some stuff out down the stretch.
I just want to add, Colin, your job as sports director, possibly next year, is in shambles.
Yeah, that's a
It's
long
in
way
trouble.
away, all right?
It's in trouble.
That's
That's a
future.
different discussion for a different
I
day.
don't think,
I think-
Let's leave that at a hawk talk. People are going to be gunning for me now.
I think, Brian, you got my vote over there.
Thank you, Les. Thank you.
All right.
Ryan making
Anyways,
quite the impression, only a freshman. Excuse me, this year.
Appreciate it, Mikey.
But looking at their previous matchup, they did beat UW Stevens Point by a score of 9-0. Whitewater, one of the most dominant teams in the WEAC. However, they did lose to La Crosse this year. Could that be a sign of things to come, do you guys think?
Yeah,
That's scary. It's a little scary.
It was
sure.
It was their first conference loss, I think, in like 18 years. So
That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, just because it had been so long. They've been running the table in the WEAC just for a long, long time.
yeah, Frank Barnes has been a very successful head coach.
To say that he's been successful is an understatement.
That is a very understatement. He's been dominant.
I mean, it was also just the first conference matchup, so I really don't think it's too much to really worry about, you know.
I mean,
it was just a 4-5 loss too. It wasn't like they got smoked or anything. It was just they just barely lost in that one. So I don't really think it's as too much to worry about as some here think.
Well, and something else to note is tennis actually plays, and I believe soccer might as well, but I could be incorrect about that one. Tennis plays in the fall and the spring. They finish up their season on October 27th in the WEAC Championships in Madison, but they also start back up on March 1st against UW Milwaukee, a Division I opponent. Then they play against Division II Roosevelt and then Division I Northern Illinois. Quite the start in the spring season for the team. But with that, I think we've wrapped up some Warhawk sports pretty well, and we're going to move over to some NFL talk for the first time on this show of this semester in Week 3. We're going to talk about the NFC North. All 4 of the teams right now in the division currently sport a winning record with the Packers and Bears tied for last place with a record of 3-2. Before the season, I firmly believe that there could be a chance that every team in the NFC North had a decent shot at making the playoffs. I personally had Minnesota at the bottom of the division, but they've made me look stupid so far. Sporting a 5-0 record, beating Green Bay on the road at Lambeau Field, and beating Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this weekend. The first question I have for everyone, Laz, I'll start with you because you're a Vikings fan. Do you think they keep this up?
Why would you do this? Now we have to listen to him just unceremoniously yap about the Vikings.
Unceremoniously.
I can't wait to hear it.
Wow,
That's
what
a big
what a
word,
big
Jack.
word,
I know, I
Peterson.
screwed it up the first time.
It's not the
I
only
don't even wanna
purple and
go
yellow team.
Stay in your lane over
It's
there.
not the only.
As a Vikings fan, I will say 2 of our biggest wins happened already against the Niners and the Texans, which were both in a very convincing fashion. Sam Darnold's looked good in pretty much every game except I think it's the last 2 he kind of slowed down a little bit.
Jets.
Yeah, the Jets game was kind of tough to watch, but once again,
The Jets also have a very good defense in his defense. Pun intended.
And just fired Robert Saleh today.
Yeah, not good defense anymore.
We'll see.
they have a bye week next week. The only thing I'm worried about is we play the Lions twice and Kirk Cousins in Week 14.
Kirko Chains.
Coaching.
Right. I'm not too worried about the Rams, especially with Kupp and Nakua out. How long are they out for? Does anyone know?
Probably
at
about.
least-
When do you play the Rams?
Week
Week
8.
eight.
Week
2.
eight?
There's a. I think Kupp will be back by then.
I think Puka could be back, maybe.
It's like a 50-50.
Yeah. He'll
That's
probably
fine.
be like questionable or down.
I hope they come back for that
I hope
game.
Hawkinson will be
Yeah,
back by
Puka
then.
puts up 200 yards and
I have fantasy implications in that game.
Because I don't like the Vikings.
Okay, they don't like you either
They probably don't.
because you smell bad.
Probably don't know who he is,
Don't
really.
get nasty.
Hey, we're throwing some
getting
unnecessary shade here. Colin, what are your thoughts? Do you think Minnesota keeps this up, or do they start to fall off a little bit?
It's hard to say at this point that they won't keep it up, but I just want to talk about the last time they started 5-0. I believe it was 2018. And how'd that season go? They didn't make the playoffs.
I think it was 2016 was the year.
Yeah, either way. Started off 5-0, had the bye week 6,
They're finishing 11-6.
and then they ended up going, I think, 3-8.
It was like 8-8 for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went
Pretty lackluster finish to the season. But Sam Darnold's been playing out of his mind. Justin Jefferson got him in fantasy. He's been putting up big numbers for me every week. And it's a little scary looking at their remaining strength of schedule. They've got the 19th toughest strength of schedule remaining. So
Pretty middle of the pack.
pretty towards the bottom in terms of toughness of opponents. They've got the Lions and the Bears twice. They've got the Packers one more time in Minnesota. They've also got Big Kirko and the Falcons, and then Geno and the Seahawks. So I think they definitely will make the playoffs. Will they stay red hot, number 1 in the NFC? I don't think so. I think they'll probably, at this point, if I had to say, I think they'd win the NFC North, be a fringe playoff team, wild card, maybe a bye if they really keep up this hot play. But yeah.
I think it's going to be tough because CMC is going to come back. In terms of bye talk, CMC is going to come back. I've seen as early as week 7 for the 49ers. I think the Packers are going to start to get it together a little bit. They've looked a little sloppy to start the season.
They're last in the division.
Well, 3-2.
We'll get to
Yeah,
that.
I'm just saying.
We'll get
Talk
to
about
it.
the Vikings right now. Wait till we talk
I'm
about
just
the
saying.
Packers.
But the big thing for the Vikings is that they still have to play the Lions 2 more times. Alex, I'll move into it with you a little bit. Do you think they take 1 or 2 of those games?
I could see them taking at least one of them. I mean, this Vikings team looks like real. Like, they look really good. Their defense, too. That Brian Flores defense is really good. I think they're really solid. And looking at their schedule, I could see them definitely making the playoffs. Like, these aren't super hard teams to play. Like, they're definitely, like, inconsistent teams. Like you see teams like the Jags who are 1-4. They haven't played their best. They haven't played bad football, but just like inconsistent teams here. And I can see the Vikings definitely making the playoffs. And they're red hot. Sam Darnold's playing really good as well. Justin Jefferson. I also have Justin Jefferson in fantasy, so
I wish
glad
I
to see
did.
him going crazy.
Back-to-back years of JJ in fantasy for me.
Gosh. But yeah, Vikings are definitely making the playoffs. I don't see them repeating their 2016 season.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one. I just think, well, and also a difference between that team and this one was the coaching. Kevin O'Connell, no disrespect to Mike Zimmer, but I think he's levels above as a head coach than Mike Zimmer was. Mikey, any thoughts on the Lions? Or no, the Vikings, excuse me.
I was about to say. Well, nonetheless, I believe the Vikings play the Lions just this upcoming week. I think they will get that win just because, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison are easily one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. I mean, Justin Jefferson's the best in the NFL. Jordan Addison, still up-and-coming rising star for the Vikings. The only issue is, once again, Sam Darnold. I mean, he's seemed to simmer down since second half of the Packers game, it seems like, and it's just a matter if he can find that rhythm that he had in the first 3.5 weeks. Aaron Jones also was out in the Jets game. I don't know if he's going to be back or not. I don't know if there's anything on that.
I saw today that he was considered week to week.
Week to week. So probably just he'll probably be out for the Lions game.
Well,
But
I'm pretty sure they have a bye week this week.
They do.
Oh, is it this week?
So if we're
So he'll probably be back.
so if
then.
we're looking at how he was in Green Bay, he'll be back around week 13 maybe.
Yeah.
He'll probably be
That
back
was
about
made of
end of the
glass
season
when
towards
he
the
was
playoffs.
I mean, as long as they have him back for the final season push, but also something to note, TJ Hawkinson has been out the entire year so far, and he was out, I believe he went out around maybe week 15 or 16 last year, and he was arguably the best tight end in football before that. Ryan, any other thoughts on the Vikings before we move on?
Yeah, just gonna echo a little bit here, but like Sam Darnold has to continue to play very well for this Viking team to keep going. Last Sunday was kind of a fluke for him. And like Mikey said, the second half of the Packer game. But I mean, comparing this one to the 2016 Viking season, they also had a bye week during week 6, so then proceeded to lose their next 4 games. So I like where Colin's head is at there. And I've got a
History
question for
repeats
Laz.
itself.
Laz, do you think that the Vikings would be in this situation if J.J. McCarthy was at quarterback right now?
I don't actually know. I never saw JJ play outside of like a few college games, so I don't really. You know what? No, I do not.
I'll give you a hint.
I'm not a
Probably
big
not.
J.J. McCarthy
I was
guy.
about
I
to say
mean,
that.
we've seen all these rookie quarterbacks just start off so slow.
Not
I mean,
Jaden Daniels.
Destroys their
I mean, not
confidence.
Jaden Daniels.
Caleb's starting to pick it up too.
Yeah.
He is.
Yes, he is.
And
He is.
everybody-
He finally started standing up to his coordinator after all he was giving him was bubble screens and checkdowns.
Classic Bears.
I mean, with that, I think we could move into the 2 basement dwellers of the division, and using that term kind of lightly because they're both 3-2, the Packers and Bears. Who do you think? Because I feel like there's gonna be one team in this division, because there usually is, even in the gauntlet divisions, that kind of falls apart. Do you think? Out of both of those teams, who do you think is more likely? Colin, I'll start with you. The Packers or the Bears to kind of fall out towards the bottom?
I'm definitely going to have to go with the Bears on this one. Caleb's been playing great, but he also has made some errors so far, especially early in the season. And he's still a rookie at the end of the day. Also, going into this Week 6 matchup in London versus the Jaguars, they're without Jaquan Brisker, Zach Pickens, and Terrell Smith, so that defense is taking a huge hit. They're going to have to ask former Packer Jonathan Owens to step up in a big way with Brisker out. And they've got the toughest schedule remaining in the league. I know they're playing the Jaguars, whatever, should be an easy win. But they've still got the Packers, Lions, and Vikings twice, the Commanders, who have been really good this year, and the Seahawks. So they've got some really tough opponents ahead. And for a rookie quarterback like Caleb Williams, I think he's going to be really tested against some of these better defenses, especially like the Vikings games. Will be definitely good to look at how Caleb plays in those games.
The Vikings and Packers both this year are blitz heavy, kind of get pressure on the quarterback teams. And it's possible that, especially with the Vikings, because they've been so good at it this year, just forcing QBs into mistakes. I mean, we saw it with Jordan Love last week. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers even, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time this week. Alex, do you think the Vikings easily take care of the Bears? Or
The Bears defense is really, really good. I mean, that's definitely the best part about the Bears. I could definitely see I could see the Bears maybe winning. I think the Bears could win one. I mean, you get Caleb Williams some time in the pocket, which is a little hard because the Vikings do blitz a lot.
When the Bears' O-line is a travesty.
It is a little scary.
Yeah,
but I
it's
think
horrible.
if you can somehow give Caleb Williams time and let him throw the ball, as well as if you get your run game on a roll too. I see DeAndre Swift is finally starting to actually like be a part of this team, and just that Bears defense. I would really like to see them against the Vikings offense because they've been so good, and the Bears defense has been so good and kind of keeping them in these games. So I do want to see it, and I think the Bears can maybe do it here.
Mikey, going off that a little bit, just what are your thoughts on how the Bears stack up? Because I know you're a Packers fan. How do you think the Bears stack up against Green Bay this year?
Honestly, I think it should be relatively even, I feel like, from an offense-defense standpoint. I think the Packers' offense versus the Bears' defense will be a phenomenal show to watch. However, if Jair is healthy, I think if Jair's healthy, the Bears' offense will not be able to get past Green Bay's defense. I don't think it'll be possible. I have said in the past that I think Caleb Williams, I think he'll have a Jordan Love type of season where he'll have his struggles. He might have a couple of good games in the first half of the season. Second half, I think he could start lining up some fireworks maybe. I think that Week 11 game will probably be a little slow start for him. I mean, I think it's in Chicago. I think the first game is. So
You would be correct.
Yeah, so home opener or first home game against Green Bay, of course, Chicago, Green Bay, classic rivalry. But from what we've seen out of him, I mean, the Bears haven't really played anyone spectacular besides maybe the Texans, and you can count the Rams if you want. But even then, they didn't have Puka, they didn't have Cooper Kupp. I mean, Caleb's shown improvement. It took him 3 weeks to grab a touchdown, though. DJ Moore's been kind of a diva, not as much as Romeo Doubs has been, suggesting he got suspended for the Rams game. But Roma Dunze is actually kind of shown to be quite a potential threat for them. DeAndre Swift as well. I'm not a huge DeAndre Swift guy, but he's shown to be a potential threat. Roshan Johnson, I think, would be a better running back threat for him, and DeAndre Swift, of course, in the passing game. But Montez Sweat, just terrifying quarterbacks. Jalen Johnson locking down any receiver in front of him. I think it would be a relatively even matchup between Packers offense and Bears defense.
I think that would be a very entertaining game for sure. I think on both sides. Like we saw it at Lambeau last year where the Bears defense had been red hot, and if the Packers didn't make so many mistakes in that game, that could have very easily been a massacre of like 31-9.
I'm also very confused with Jordan Love because one throw, it's like the greatest throw you've ever seen, like that bomb he had to Jane Reed to start the Rams game off, and then the pick six
The
moments
Will
later,
Levis type moment.
most confusing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That was just him trying to get the ball.
He
out
was
of his
trying to
hand.
throw the
I
ball
know, but
away,
still,
but
it's
it
just
didn't
like-
end up
He should've just
working.
taken
How do you
sack.
go from throwing?
Well, he
like,
was
one
in
of
the end zone. That was
like-
the problem.
Yeah.
Like-
I take a safety over a pick six.
How are we going like from arguably the best throw of the year to whatever that was? You
Why
know
not-
what I mean?
He's just very bold with his throws. He takes a lot of risks when he throws
Oh, yeah,
the ball. I mean,
that's
throwing
a
it
lot
into
what we
triple
saw at
coverage.
Utah State too.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that even though that Jaden Reed ball was right on the money, it should have been picked.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chris, I
That's
100% agree. I'm
quadruple
like, why are you
coverage.
throwing that
Bad
football
coverage.
in, like,
That is
double or triple
quadruple.
coverage?
I think everybody
Yes.
watching that game when he threw that ball, we were like, "What are you doing?" And then we're like, "Okay, never mind, it's fine."
It was more
It's fine."
bad coverage than good. Like, it was a
Yeah.
perfect
I was-
throw,
I was
but
actually
It was right in
talking
the
to my
bread basket.
roommate.
It was also a great catch at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
right. The ball needed to be where it needed to be, and Jane Reed also just had great hands.
I just want to say Jaden Reed has firmly established himself as the #1 wide receiver on this team with Watson out and Dobbs drama. Reed has just been so
I think
consistent.
Dobbs is going to be back this week from
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
he
I'm
just got
hearing.
suspended for a game
Sounds
because
like the
he.
meeting went well though with him.
He pulled a Jair Alexander
Yeah.
for a game
But
and
Jair-
pretended like he
Jair
was
able
captain.
to lock in the second half of that season,
He was.
and now
Was it
He's
that? I
back.
thought from what I read, it was like he didn't travel with the team or something because he didn't like his role in the offense. I don't
Who,
know.
Dobbs?
That's what Dobbs
Yeah.
did, yeah.
But
It-
Malik
two-
Willis was your quarterback for
Yeah.
2 weeks. Like, you got to accept the fact that your role is gonna.
Yeah,
it's gonna
they're gonna
diminish for
they're
sure.
gonna pound the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what they're gonna do.
Hey, I mean, Tucker Kraft emerged as well.
Absolutely.
That's one dude that went insane against Los Angeles.
He did, yes. But moving over to the Packers, some stat that I saw today that was kind of interesting. The Packers have an 11%, at least when Jordan Love throws the ball, they have an 11% drop rate. Laz, I'll start with you. How concerning is that as we get through the season?
I mean, they've looked shaky so far this season. I'm not really as someone who's not huge on the Packers, but I wouldn't consider myself a Packers hater. I'm pretty neutral. I'll just say it how it is. I don't think they're a threat this year. I don't know. I
just don't see it?
I don't see them as a threat. I've watched almost every single one of their games this year, being that my roommate's a Packer fan, and it's just like they're not really impressing me, except for that one throw. That
McKinney's 5 picks in 5 games.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I've been saying since Sunday that the Packers defense is Xavier McKinney is the Bentley next to the trailer house.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it's
People
been
are talking
so
about
far.
how much better our defense has gotten, but it's really just been McKinney. Other than that, it's the same old Packers defense.
Pretty much. They get a couple of sacks,
Yeah.
I do feel like the secondary really dwindles without Jair. From what we saw against the Rams and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Granted, the Vikings, as I mentioned, arguably the best wide receiver duo, but the Rams don't have their top 2 receivers, and they were still just dotting up the secondary. It felt like.
We're starting Robert Rochelle, who also got injured and then got cut out.
Hey, he was a former Ram. That was a revenge game for him. He got injured.
And then cut the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Really quickly, before we move on, does anyone else have any final thoughts about the Packers? We got to keep moving to the next topic.
I think the pass rush just has to get after the quarterback. I mean, Gary and Clark have been non-existent, and I know Jeff Hafley preaches aggressiveness, and I don't know why these quarterbacks are throwing to McKinney still, but if the pass rush can keep it up, I'd like to think maybe he can get 17 picks in 17 games. It'd be pretty nice.
That would be unprecedented.
He's on track.
I mean, we saw Trayvon Diggs. What was that? Maybe 11 a couple of seasons ago.
I know Deron Bland last year. What do you have? 6 or 7 pick sixes.
The difference is between those guys is they're corners. McKinney is a safety.
That's
Correct.
true.
So it's a lot of the
Depoy, though.
McKinney is just an absolute ball hawk,
If it's
and
not
that's
him, then it's got to be Hutchinson.
yeah. But moving over to our next topic, I called it perfectly balanced as all things should be. Right now, all of the MLB wildcard series, both in the ALDS and the NLDS, are currently they're currently 1-1 even. The Mets and Phillies are currently playing right now. The Mets holding a 2-0 lead. I guess I'll start there because they took down our Milwaukee Brewers last Thursday in a rather painful and heartbreaking way. Ryan, I'll start with you. Do you think the Mets actually do you think the curse gets broken this year, or do you think they make it all the way to the World Series?
Well, the way they're playing right now, and Jesse Winker on an absolute revenge tour right now, he just hit a ball in the top of the second deck to make it 2-0 Mets before. I think the Mets keep this thing rolling. I think the series does get split in New York, and then they head back to Philly. I think the Mets take that one. This has just been a very electric series, and it's a division rival series that you love to see in postseason baseball, and it's just, I mean, Aaron Nola is absolutely dealing today besides his 2 mistakes to Pete Alonso and Jesse Winker, and it's going to be a great offensive and pitching matchup that we love to see.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have wrote a better script, wink, wink, not inciting anything, but moving over to Mikey, I know you were talking before the show about potentially wearing a Grimace costume for one of these shows. What are your thoughts on the Mets in the Philly series so far?
Honestly, from what I've seen, the Phillies are real sloppy so far for Red October. It's been bad. I mean, both games have been relatively close. And Game 2, when they won, they celebrated like they just won the World Series or something, I mean, you beat the 6th seed in Game 2. You didn't really do much. And I mean, I don't really see Philadelphia really going anywhere with this. I mean, they could split the series. I think that's the best they're going to do. But I think the Mets are going to just ride this whole thing down. I think they're going to beat Philadelphia, and I don't know if they're going to beat the Padres or Dodgers in the NLCS. I'd love to see it because then I get to wear the Grimace costume for the World Series as well. That'd be amazing.
Are you actually going to bring it here?
I think you just want to wear the Grimace costume.
I think Mikey
I
just
do,
really
honestly.
wants.
Why?
I think you should wear it whether the Mets.
Mikey.
I think you should just wear it either way.
Just
I
keep
mean,
it
it
in
could,
here
could just
overnight.
be like for the Halloween week. I just roll out in the Grimace costume, and then if the Mets just continue their hot streak, then I'll continue wearing it maybe.
But looking
As a professional Brewers hater. that
Grimace
is.
costume in the fishbowl. You're gonna be sweating.
I was about to say,
it's gonna be rather warm in there for you.
Time for me.
Just Mikey
Don't be
not
too-
saying anything. Just
he's dying in
You're
there.
right in there.
Moving over to Alex, what are your thoughts on this series so far? Because I personally feel if Philly can find a way to split this series in New York, they win in Philadelphia. I just think it's so hard to win in Citizens Bank Park twice in a series.
It's definitely going to be a must-win for the Phillies. They're going to need. I mean, as of right now, they're down 0-2 right now.
They do have 2 guys on base and 1 out, though,
Harper
in the
just
top of the
struck
6th.
out, and he
And
was very sloppy hitting.
he swung at every pitch.
Yeah, they're not.
he's-
Their offense is just.
That's
He's
you know,
not looking too
disgusting.
great.
look
It
like
almost
we
seems
have a
like they're
show out here right
desperate.
now.
It's called patience, all right?
They don't
What
have
are
a
you
lot of
doing?
it.
What are you doing?
Yeah, this game's definitely it's a must-win for the Phillies.
It's definitely just the fact they just overlooked them, I feel like.
How can you overlook the Mets after what they've done the last couple of weeks, though? That's my
They're,
question.
they're prepared to buy their family and friends tickets to the World Series, Game 7 and all that. And right now you got Nick Castellanos. He's 0 for 2 as well.
Well, he had a
He
home
sure
run
did.
the other day, so
something
he's
bad
Oh, yeah? What
he's
hap-
doing
what
his
happened?
part.
What current event happened that
We
Yeah.
he
That's
had a
too-
home
check
run?
on your
I mean-
relatives right now.
breaking news.
I mean, I'm just saying there's a
Castellanos.
hurricane today, is there not?
I think there's supposed
Yeah,
to be a hurricane that
mandatory
hits Florida
mandatory
soon.
evacuations in
Ah,
Florida
right,
now.
right.
So I'm not saying that
taken the
anything's
over.
gonna happen, but it is possible. Colin, do you have any thoughts on this before
Yeah,
we
the
move
Mets
on?
have just been red hot beating the Brewers, and we got to talk about the Brewers curse. Every team that's beaten the Brewers in the playoffs for I don't know how many years has gone to the
Brewers
World
blessing.
Series.
Going back to 1981.
Brewers
Going back to
blessing.
1981, the Brewers' blessing is alive and well, beating the crap out of the Phillies right now, and they've just got the power of friendship. Just good vibes all over
Frank
that
the
team.
Tank is powering them to
They've
the
got the
victory.
most momentum in baseball right now, and I think they're going to keep riding that all the way to the World Series.
So you think no matter who comes out of the Dodgers and Padres series,
I think it's going to be Mets versus Padres, and that's going to be a great series.
you
Love
think
that
so?
take. I love that take.
Castellanos just lined out in a double play.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yep.
Of course he did.
Yep, he surely did.
2-0.
Laz, before we move on, any other thoughts about this series?
Yeah, I'm not big on really Philly or New York sports teams, so I don't have too much to
That's
say.
fair.
I cannot see either of these teams making too much noise in the playoffs. I just think the Phillies, granted their record is 95-67, they've just been sloppy all season.
They were really hot to start the year, and ever since then they've been middling.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like the Yankees, where it's just been, they have the talent, they have the star power. You start hot and then just finish kind of cold.
Can we also just talk about how the final wild card team always goes on a run every year? It feels like it's ridiculous. It really
We should
is.
play the Brewers.
It's
That's probably
about
why.
Yeah,
Well,
that
well,
It's
definitely
also
helps.
because the last team's usually red hot, so they just have
Yeah.
they're just riding house money the whole way. That's what it usually is.
When
They
I
play
had
the
a
Milwaukee Brewers.
I
Or
had a
both.
that
Yeah.
too, but I have a friend who said that there was we were discussing buying tickets last week, and I thought that just because what I've seen for the last 5 or 6 years, the Brewers tend to bow out in the first round, and I had never been to a playoff game before, so I'm like, I think we should go to, because I'm not gonna gamble on us making the NLDS to go to a game, and.
That's 100% reasonable.
My brother, during the 7th inning of Game 3, tells me as he walks out the door, buy the tickets.
And
Needless
then
to
Pete
say, we're
Alonso
not
said,
buying
"Nuh-uh."
tickets.
No,
We are not
I
buying
know.
tickets.
And then
Needless
Pete
to say.
Alonso decided to just finally show up in the series.
I hate Pete Alonso.
Really,
agree.
really quickly, before we move on to basketball, touching on some of the other series, who do you guys got in any of the other series? Ryan, I'll start with you. Just rapid fire.
Yeah, I mean, my picks are still alive. Still got Cleveland over Detroit here. I think also the Yankees win Game 5 in the Bronx, so
I hope not.
they split it in KC, and then I think the Padres just pound the crap out of the Dodgers. In
I
these
hope
two
so.
games. Their bats are hot. The clubhouse is so together right now. I mean, Machado pulling them together in the dugout in Los Angeles. If you guys saw that, that was a pretty cool moment to see. And the Padres are just so hot right now with Jackson Merrill as well.
The third best rookie in the MLB.
I'd say second. Paul Skeens is third.
No. You're forgetting about somebody.
Well, Churrio's number
Jackson.
Obviously.
Churriel.
Well,
Yeah,
obviously.
one. That's
All
the
right.
obvious.
Yeah.
And that's
What, you're going to pull out PC?
Imanaga, whoa!
Shota is better than him.
He's
but
gonna pull out
Shota's
He's
is better
85
than every
years
other
old.
rookie in the class. It
He's
doesn't
going to
matter.
pull out PC AAA on us, so.
PC. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
All right, Mikey, who do you got really quick before we move on to NBA and all
as
the other
mentioned-
series?
As mentioned, I already got the Mets. I'm taking the Padres over the Dodgers as well. And unlike Ryan over here, I'm going with the Tigers.
I like
Kerry
it. I like it.
Kerry Carpenter is my hero. I love you, Kerry
That
Carpenter.
was a beautiful
That
song.
was
I
insane.
That
love
was a
you.
beautiful
I
song
was
yesterday.
I was
So
in
beautiful.
Drumlin eating, and I had to witness that home run. I was the happiest man on earth, only because Javier's on the team, but he's injured. So
We don't have to talk about him.
yeah.
A guy with a
But-
490 OPS does not warrant
Well,
discussion.
he's not even playing. He's got a hip injury, so it doesn't matter. But I'm taking the Royals over the Yankees.
I like that too.
Yankees have been very
Upset
sloppy.
city over
Judge
here.
Soto, Stanton, and Chisholm Jr. You're supposed to have one of the most dominant offenses in baseball, and you can't get past the Royals. You can't get past guys like Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans. So
Those are
Aces.
good
They're
pitchers.
fantastic this year.
All right.
they were fantastic this year, but
Alex?
I have the exact same opinion and take as Mikey. I do think the Royals, Tigers, Mets, and Padres are going to take it. And I do also want to say this is like some of the best baseball we've actually seen in a while. Like these games are all just amazing.
I feel like baseball is sort of entering like a golden age right now with some of the talents.
Feels like it.
Colin?
Yeah, we just got great October baseball going on right now. All these series tied at 1-1 currently. And there's just a lot of upsets potentially happening. And I'm going to run the table with the upsets, man. I got the Royals, Tigers, Mets, and Padres.
I like it. Laz?
Give me Phillies, Padres, Guardians, Yankees.
Guardians have kind of been middling. Sorry to Brendan, who, if you're listening to this, huge Guardians fan, but they've kind of been treading water ever since their hot start, kind of like the Phillies have.
well, a lot of it is just their offense isn't incredibly consistent, and their pitching's phenomenal. Just their offense just needs to figure it out, and they just can't really seem to do that a lot. You know, they'll have a game where they drop 10, and then the next 3 they'll drop like 5 combined.
Sounds like the Craig Council Brewers, to be honest.
I had like 2 or 3 inning double plays yesterday against Google. So
That also sounds like the Brewers. But moving on to NBA really quickly before we get to final thoughts, I wanted to discuss some hot takes today. I'll let my 2 Lakers fans take the floor. First, we're going to go with 20% hot takes, and then we're going to do 100 after that. Laz, go ahead.
All right. My 30% hot take.
My mistake. I meant 30.
No, it's all right. It's just you composed the email.
I did.
Ben Simmons come back here.
oh my
I knew it was coming. I knew
So
it was
you're
coming.
saying
What do you mean, like
most
he plays?
improved?
Because that's pretty hot.
I mean, the mixtape dropped.
he's-
That's all I'm going to
he's
say.
averaging more than 12 points a game.
I'd say that's more than.
That's more the
30%
100%
Come
right there.
on.
Did you guys see the little shooting game the Nets have been doing at their practices?
No, I have
Golf
not.
rules where the higher score is worst. Ben Simmons is at last place in the free throw shooting competition. He's at a plus 11,
Not
which
surprising
means
at
he's
all.
just.
He's not going to be driving the lane too much this season. I know you've all
But
seen
he's gonna be
the-
shooting threes.
Yep.
Oh.
100%.
Oh, yes.
You've all seen the Chris
The
Brickley
yearly
videos.
Ben Simmons can shoot mixtape dropped in the middle of July, didn't it?
If he hits
It
more
did.
than 3 threes, that's
All
a hot
season?
take.
All season?
Yeah, all season.
Wow.
dude, I hit 4 threes in an entire season of rec basketball.
Baseball.
Well, you're not Ben
Great.
Simmons.
I'm
How
at
you doing that?
You haven't broken your back 17 times in the last
Yeah,
6
that's
months.
true.
Correct. My knees are shot from football, so.
Mine are shot from running too, so I'm in the same boat. Colin?
My 27% hot take is going to be Alex Caruso, 6th man of the year. I think he's going to play a nice spark plug role on the Thunder bench there with that young team. They're going to energize the old man Caruso. He's like, what, 32
30.
now?
He's 30.
It's crazy how we're considering 32-year-olds old.
Well, for basketball.
Yeah.
Alex
Um,
Caruso forever.
Alex
I like
Caruso,
that.
I think, yeah, when this 6th man of the year, that team is going to be really fun to watch.
Very high energy player. Also, they added Hartenstein this offseason too, so they kind of solidified that center position a little bit. Alex?
I'm going to say Wembanyama will be in everyone's MVP ladder by December and will not fall. I think the addition of CP3 is huge for him, especially because he's even without CP3 the year before, he was open, and for some reason his teammates couldn't find him, even though it's Wembanyama. It's like really weird, and he's just like, he doesn't even look real. Like I see him play, he just doesn't even look like a real person.
Well, and I saw him dominate the U.S. this summer
Yeah.
in the Olympics. Like, he was quite the
They
player in
just
that game.
Did
Curry
not-
decided as,
yeah,
you
they
know,
The golden
finally
dagger.
Open up the floodgates.
It's because Jeremy Sohan just does
Yeah.
not want to give him the ball. He's
Jeremy
like, hey,
Sohan
look at
is
me.
like-
I'm on prime
Yeah.
time television. I'm going to huck this shot and not give it to
The best player.
The
One of-
7'5" demigod standing
Yeah.
in the middle, with his hand right over the rim, just waiting for the lob pass.
I think Wemby will have a quad dub this year. I'm just going to share mine really
think
quickly.
he'll-
That's my 20 or 30%.
By the time he retires, he'll have the most quad dubs of all time.
I can't disagree. Mikey?
My 30% is that the Bucks will not be winning their division this year.
Who do
I
you
don't think
thi-
the Bucks are winning it. I think after what we saw with Doc Rivers, I mean, what didn't you guys go under 500?
You would be
Who do
correct.
you think's going to win, the
Doc?
Cavs?
I think
It's either Pacers or Cavs. I think
can
those
see
two are gonna duke it out for the
Pacers.
Central.
the Pacers made a run last year.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
Beat-
Pacers
beat the
knocked
Knicks.
us
Beat
out.
the Bucks in the
gotta-
playoffs.
They did.
They did. However,
But-
Giannis, Dame, and Middleton were all hobbled
Yeah.
or out.
Yeah.
Well,
Ryan?
Well, the Bucks also did just hire Rajon Rondo, so great hire there.
Obviously.
Game
Rajon
over.
Rondo.
But my 30% mild take is that the Eastern Conference are going to feature the same 8 teams, different seedings though. My seedings being Knicks, Celtics. I have 2 of the Bucks winning their division. The Pacers, Magic, Cavs, Sixers, and Heat. I am very high on the Magic this year. I think they make a pretty good run with, like Colin was mentioning earlier to me today, 3rd-year Paolo Banchero.
He's going to take that leap.
Yes.
He's averaging 27 or more this year. Book it.
27 is crazy, but
I like the
I
take
respect
down.
it.
Who else is going to be scoring on that team?
Check out that fantasy team. Tell me what you think.
But,
I'm getting hate on it.
We're getting a live
loud.
review
Go
of a
ahead.
fantasy team,
Yeah,
man.
read it out
All
loud.
right, all right.
This is a 14-man league.
We've got Donovan Mitchell,
I like it.
Cade Cunningham,
Not bad.
Franz Wagner,
Decent.
corny Jason Tatum,
Was that your first
face
pick?
Right
No.
there
the king of the cornballs, Jason Tatum.
This is a solid starting.
Actually, yes,
We
it was.
did it!
It was.
Bam
Solid starting
Adebayo,
lineups.
Evan Mobley, who's a demon in 2K. I always get him in my team.
Love it.
Demon in the
Jalen
stands.
Duren, Manuel Quickly,
It's a good 8 so far.
Tobias Harris. That's a good.
That's
roster.
a solid team.
Honestly, I respect
Thank you.
Good roster.
Thank you.
I like it. I like it.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Thank you, fellas.
Scott.
Thank you.
How is he getting hate?
And my
Harris
bench
LeVert
is
on the
sick.
I'm
bench.
so proud of
He's
you.
got
Like, words can't describe how
Thank you.
Bogdanovich, Keegan Murray, PJ Washington, and Zach Edey on the bench.
See, that's
Zach Edey,
a that's a
Zach
sleeper
Edey
pick.
is quite the take.
That's a sleeper pick.
Zach
Edey is a
It's
sleeper
not
pick.
about
Zach Edey's a bum.
it's not about who they are. It's about how many points they get me. That's
Laz,
what it
this
is.
this
not
is
a
what I'm
person.
giving you for
These
that.
aren't people, the last. They're fantasy points.
That's what I'm giving you for that team.
Minus
I,
Zach
I,
first
like, I
sound
like it.
effect.
I like
Minus
it.
Zach Edey, I agree with.
He's on my bench.
I don't care.
Yeah, he's the last player.
He's literally the last person on my
He's
bench.
not going to play.
You're much better taking an empty bench spot than having Zach.
Yeah,
Edey.
I don't know.
He's gonna be-
With
he's gonna
Ja
be
Morant
giving
throwing
you
him lobs.
negative points. He's a.
I think he'll be
bum.
better than any of you guys expect this year.
I'm with
He's a
Colin
bum.
here, actually. I
With-
think.
with Edey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a good
agree.
defensive player too, because
He's
they're
like
just gonna
Celtic
funnel
Shaq,
defense down.
Dude, he's unathletic.
Celtic Shaq.
He's like
he's like
21.
One Zach
He was
Edey
awful at Purdue. Tell him there isn't
Okay,
because he's
he
like
wasn't-
Once Zach Edey
Alright,
develops a
I was-
3-point shot, it's
wasn't
over.
awful.
Awful 2020 games is awful.
Yeah, he was
Player
awful
six,
at
2
Purdue,
years in a
but the
row.
only
He's a
reason he was
serviceable free
relevant
throw.
at-
Okay, dude, good. He's 7'4". He can bring in boards, which leads to points, which leads to me winning our fantasy league.
He's gonna still get.
I
you
don't
that.
care how unathletic or he could have 8 toes. I don't care, dude. He's like, as long as he's getting me points, that's all that matters.
All right, moving over to 100% hot takes. Thank you for the fantasy team update.
No, thank you.
My 100%, I just want to share it really quickly. We're gonna have to go through these kind of fast. The Bucks will be a play-in team this year.
The
I
Lakers.
said
That's
this
not really a
last
hot
week.
Take, I gotta say.
Pretty much everyone else I say that to acts like I have 3 heads when I say
That's
it.
Because
not
you're
a
in
hot
Mo-
take.
it's because you're in Wisconsin.
that probably has something to do with
They
it.
still think the Bucks are.
I'd
in the
call that like a
2021 form.
65% hot take. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. I can
All
see
right,
it
then let's hear
happening.
your 100% hot take, Colin.
I got a couple. I'm going to fire through them real quick. This may be a hot take to you guys,
Here
but
it comes. LeBron's gonna be
82-0 for the
my
Lakers
hot
this
take,
year.
The Lakers are not losing a game till like
Right.
2030. LeBron's winning every championship until none of us are even here anymore. Bronny's rookie of the year, obviously, but for
I don't
real,
even have to go.
I think my 100% hot take: Eastern Conference Finals this year. Orlando Magic versus New York Knicks.
Orlando
the Knicks going
Magic.
to the finals.
I don't think that's as hot as you think it is, to be honest. It's just they have to get past Boston, and Boston
Yeah.
had some fluky wins go their way last year for sure, especially against Indiana. Indiana snatched defeat from the jaws of victory a couple of times in that series. I'm not gonna lie. Laz, really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Lakers go 82-0, obviously.
Of course.
Bronny James, Rookie of the Year. LeBron James, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year.
That might be the hottest take I've heard so far.
All-Star Game MVP.
Executive of the year.
Right. Coach of the year, Rookie of the year.
JJ Redick is leading this team to uncharted
but in
territory.
all honesty, this is a what if. It's just hot takes. It's just what if.
Obviously.
Klay Thompson, he's back.
I agree.
Quite the take. I can't say I hate it, though.
No.
I like his role on this team a lot.
I do as well.
He's going to be
He's not
open.
really asked to do much, which I think is going to do loads for
He's
him.
literally
Luka and
just has
Kyrie
to
are
be
going
Klay
to draw in
Thompson.
so much of the defense. He's going to find a lot of open shots.
He's gonna be wide open.
That's what he does.
He's not going to go 0 for 10 in an
I mean, he
elimination
kind
game,
of can't do
hopefully.
anything else at this point in his career other than just
Not
stand
much
and
of a
shoot.
defender. A lot of his athleticism is gone.
He
but,
should have never went up for that whack dunk, man. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
even that cool. It was just like a two-handed flush. What are you doing?
All right, moving on to Alex really quick.
Jamal Murray will make his first All-Star team this year.
Why would
Has
you
he
say
not
that
been
in
an
front of
All-Star
No.
before? Really?
When he plays the Lakers, he's the greatest player of
Yeah,
all time.
right.
I was going to say, that's a stat I...
Jamal Murray in front of those
You're
two.
going to
Yeah.
fire him up over
They're going
there.
through
Yeah.
shell
I'm gonna
shock.
break
As if
it
they
down.
aren't
Wait
fired
for
up
him.
already.
I'm
Fist
hiding
ball
in
and
here.
just tackle
I'm
you.
hiding in here. I'm not scared. I'm
Laz-
scared when this is over, though.
Laz
but-
is breaking down over
The
there.
second,
Yeah.
si-
Alex,
the second at 6:01,
I'm so
we're gonna.
sick of Jamal Murray. Stop it.
All right, moving away from Jamal Murray, Mikey,
Oh my
really quickly.
God.
Oh, my God.
I hope he doesn't even make a team.
My 100%
this
hot
year.
take. I'm going that the Mavericks are losing in the play-in this year. I think they go
In
to
the play-in?
and
The
they
play-in?
lose in the play-in.
Oh my god, that's the stuff we came here for today.
That's the
I think the
juice.
Mavs go from finals to losing in the play-in. I think it's
Quite
gonna
the take.
happen.
Can I hear some reasoning really quickly before we move on to final thoughts?
Just to me, the Mavericks aren't that. Okay, yeah, they got Luka, they got Kyrie, they just got Clay, but Clay is washed. Let's be real.
For
he's
those
got
who
4
can't
rings,
see,
sorry.
he's got 4 rings. He's got 4 rings. He's got 4 rings.
Sorry, I forgot that. He's got 4 rings, but Clay's washed. Kyrie, I just think is going to have a very underwhelming year. Luka will probably have another 30-plus point year, but it's not going to matter. He's not going to be able to carry the entire Mavericks organization on his back this year. And I think they fall short in the play-in. I think they just have a horrible play-in.
I actually disagree with you because I like Derek Lively a lot this year too, and the center position. Yeah, I am a big
Dwight
Derek
Powell.
Lively.
Derek
MVP.
Lively had a great rookie of the year. It was just overshadowed by
Wemby and Chet, pretty much.
But yeah, I think the Mavs are tanking for Wemby this year, though.
Tanking
You
for
think so?
Wemby.
They're tanking
Tanking for
Wemby.
Cooper. They're tanking for Cooper.
Cooper Cup.
Indeed. Ryan?
Yeah, I have the Rockets making a pretty deep playoff run after missing the playoffs last year, going 500 at 41-41. They could potentially take the Southwest Division. I am opposing Mikey here. I think they're going to be close with Dallas at the top of the standings there. I think they're going to lean on big years from Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and then Amin
That's going to be
Thompson.
tough to lean on Jalen Green. I'm not going to lie.
Jalen
One of the most
Green's a
inefficient.
dog.
He's one of the most inefficient players in the league.
No, he's going to have a great year this year. And Amin Thompson coming off the bench, I think he's going to have a great year. Potentially 6th man of the year. I could see it.
Yeah, definitely
False.
an interesting take. I don't know if I agree with that one. I know Amin Thompson can jump out the gym, though, so he's a fun player to watch. I think that Rockets team is just going to be very entertaining. There's no doubt about that. But moving into final thoughts really quickly, I'll start with Laz again here. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh my God, you just put me on the spot.
That's kinda how the show
come on,
works.
You come back to me. Come back to me. Come back.
We'll move on to Colin.
Yeah, not much. Go Pack, go. I don't know. I like the Packers. That's my final thought.
How are you
like the
feeling about the game
Packers.
against Arizona this weekend?
Arizona did just get that big win versus the 49ers, but we should have Dobbs back. I'm thinking Jordan Love's going to keep getting better every game coming off this injury, and hopefully he just isn't gunslinging it like we've seen him, because it's worked out sometimes, and sometimes it's just like, what are you doing? So hopefully he gets his head screwed on straight. But yeah, Packers by 1,000,000 points.
Jordan Love's got to start throwing off his back foot again. That's a big
Yeah,
issue. He's
yeah.
Well,
left.
it was against Minnesota, but
He's left some mustard off his throws. Minnesota. Alex?
Spencer Rattler's season. Spencer Rattler is going to win MVP.
They didn't even put him in last night. They put in Jake
Rattler
Haener.
Jake Hayner's going to go down as well, and Spencer
Who
Rattler
is
is going to take over the helm.
who is that? The QB the Saints put in. I've never heard of him.
Jake Hayner, Fresno State legend.
Fresno State.
Can't
Looked like
see.
Derek
He
Carr,
looked like a
also Fresno
YouTuber.
State.
Yeah.
He looked like a streamer.
That's why
I
they're
can't
trading
see-
for Devontae. They're trying to recreate
put the fries
Fresno
in the
State.
Do you,
Fresno State dynasty.
In all seriousness, do you think the Saints season is over, or do you think they're gonna hang around?
I don't think it's over. I mean, I don't know. It's a little scary, but I actually think we have good backups. I think Jake Hayner can do it, although we're not looking so great.
It's been a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, it is a little scary.
After MVP favorite Derek Carr started to fall off his high horse
Yeah,
again.
That was so sad. That was
And
so
now it's
bad.
back to Sam
4-0
Darnold.
Mets right now.
Yeah, let's
RBI
go.
single by
Wow. It's about the
Sully
Mets.
Marte.
Why are we cheering about this, guys? Come on.
It's
they
about
beat the
the
Brewers.
Mets.
Are we all
Fuck
Mets
the
fans
You want the
now?
Grimace
Are we all
costume or
Mets
not,
fans?
Chris?
I want the Grimace costume,
That's
but
what
I
the
do not
Mets
want to
on,
see the Mets in the World Series.
It has to be
When they were
the
playing
Mets win.
Pete Alonso's home run with the Moneyball theme, with them having the highest payroll in the league,
Yeah.
the irony
Oh,
was
yeah.
just off the charts. Moving on to Mikey.
Besides go Mets, also go Blackhawks. The NHL season starts today. They got the
That is
the
exciting.
Utah Hockey Club.
Shout out to our one of our old co-hosts on here, Jalen, who's working as a broadcast assistant for the Utah Jazz, and I forget what their hockey team is called,
The
but
Utah Hockey Club.
the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah,
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Hey, but Seattle's also playing. Shout out to Carson as well, but they are currently losing to the St. Louis Blues, who I do hate, but nonetheless, the Kraken are losing. So if the Kraken lose, Wednesday's going to be phenomenal for me.
I'm sure that
Suggesting he is my host for Hawk Talk.
I'm sure that will be discussed tomorrow
100%.
Is this still 2-0?
4-0.
4-0 now.
in the
For-
baseball game.
For Kraken? For the
Oh, no,
Kraken?
no, no, no.
3-2 Blues.
Oh.
They were
3-2
talking about
Blues.
baseball.
Oh my God. they
Quite the
went
game.
cover.
Ryan.
I think Jaden Daniels continues his excellent season that he's having, and I think he potentially gets some MVP votes. I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. He's led the Commanders to a 4-1 season, playing in the dumpster fire that you call FedEx Field. I mean,
What a joke.
Jeez.
Dan Quinn's been an amazing
Harsh.
coach, and I also would like to say that the Saints are frauds.
Wow.
I'll have to agree with you on that one.
The Saints,
just taking
the
it on the
Saints
chin.
season is that horse meme where it has an actual horse at the end and it's a drawing of a
I'll
horse.
accept it. You're right.
All right. Fair enough.
Alex,
Fair enough.
I'll wear my Camaro jersey next Saints win for you.
Moving over to Laz really quickly.
I just want to say that I think the Pistons are going to have a little bounce back season. I think.
Well,
I don't think that's
Did you have Tobias Harris on
No,
your
I
fantasy
think
team?
Jalen Duren was a phenomenal addition to their team last year as a rookie. I mean, he really showed out and played great ball.
Who did they hire for their coach?